If someone said, what's a fun fact about you? Like, I don't know what I would say.
I used to lie and say I ran a marathon because I couldn't think of anything.
Who's going to vet that?
And like, I look like I could have run a marathon.
Wait, okay, so you said you have not been to the Viper.
I haven't been to the Viper Room.
And you're going to an 11 p.m. show.
11 p.m.
Are you harnessing your 21-year-old self?
Well, I'm unemployed right now. So literally when she was like, can you do 11 p.m. on a Thursday? I can't. I have no excuse.
I feel like we should have been drinking caffeinated tea today.
Yeah, that might be true. But I'm an insomniac, so I'm going to be up till like at least 2 a.m. no matter what.
That's insane.
You're not up till 2 a.m. every night?
I am sometimes. I shouldn't be. I wake up at like early time. I mean, it depends on the day, but sometimes like usually around 7:30. So like I shouldn't be up till 2, but I do have major night problems.
Yeah, because we're stand-up comics and
Correct.
We get all our adrenaline right before we go to sleep.
Correct.
It's really, I mean, there's no, like, I don't know how to be a stand-up comic and get on a healthy sleep schedule.
I don't know how to be on a stand-up comic and just be healthy.
Yeah, that it's also stand-up comedy is during dinner time.
Well, not for me. I like to eat at like 5:30.
We'll get
into that in a second. Before we get into that, I want to quickly tell all the steepers what we're drinking. So for the steepers at home, we're drinking Patagonia Wild Guava. It is lovely. It's an herbal.
It's great because it's.
Have you already tried it?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
It's like just the right temperature right now.
For those steeping at home, this is it's at 200. So even though it's an herbal, you think it's 212, it's 200. And it says 5 minutes, but you kind of do whatever. With herbals, you can oversteep. It's fine. There's no stress.
I didn't know you like actually knew things about tea. I thought it was just.
You thought it was gimmick?
Yeah, I thought we just drink tea.
I mean, we do.
Yeah.
Do I not give off tea vibes? What is it? I don't know.
I just kind of thought it was going to be like Earl Grey. I didn't know it was like we were really exploring.
At this hour?
I don't know.
Yeah, everyone's like, here's the thing, people listen to this at all different times, so they don't really know what hour this is. They're like, I'm like, at this hour? They're like, yeah, it's 9 a.m.
I'm listening to this in the morning. Yeah.
But no, going back to what you were saying, I think it's very hard to stay healthy when you're a comic.
Do you know what's wild though? I've noticed for me, because I've gotten really deep into fitness in certain points of my life.
Yeah.
And I've always gotten super into fitness when my personal life is going really badly. So everyone's always like, you look phenomenal. And it's like, well, because I'm unemployed and I'm at the gym for like right now.
You'd say 3 hours?
Well, I used to work there. So.
Okay.
And we were allowed to work out while we were there. So that's all.
So you were getting paid to work out?
We were just getting paid in the membership.
Of how many memberships you signed people up for?
No, it was like the membership, because it was a fancy boutique gym, was like $250 a month, which for me, straight out of college, was
so like
astronomical.
Or Equinox.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And then basically I would just have to fold towels and I could work out. It's fantastic.
It's weird because I fold towels here in my apartment and
you don't get a free gym membership?
No.
That's really rude.
Yeah, and I fold towels like decently well. Actually, my claim to fame is being able to fold a fitted sheet.
I definitely cannot do that. So that is really impressive.
I don't want to brag, but
are you an everyday bed maker?
No.
I wish.
Do you have these things where you're like, you have a list of like aspirational things like, I wish I wrote gratitudes at night. I wish I made my bed.
I don't write gratitude. I can't journal. Journaling is something
what
that
I wouldn't do to
like,
be a journaler.
Are you a journaler?
No.
What? Come on.
I've never even written a stand-up joke. What are we talking about?
Journalers are better than all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I tried to keep a journal when I was, I think, 6, 7? No, 9. I was 9. I was 9 years old. My mom bought me a purple elephant journal. It had like purple elephants on the front. And she's like, you like elephants? I was like, I suppose. And she's like, yeah, this is a journal. You can write in it. And I was like, cool, I'm going to do this. I lasted maybe 8 days.
I did keep a journal for a year. But
a year?
Yes, but there's a really weird twist to this, which was my senior year of high school. My English teacher was very bizarre, and I was in love with him, of course. That's
Me too.
Totally my style. AP English teacher, he was like tall and lanky, which is my type, and kind of creepy, also my type. And he
lanky and creepy
assigned us journals, and he said that he could either read them or just count the pages, but I was in love with him. So I was like, I'm just going to write this journal from the perspective of a woman that I hope he will fall in love with. It did work. He did love me. Not like there was never anything like, but he was just like, you're brilliant and your mind is so brilliant. And this journal is just so incredible. But I kept it for a year, wrote in it every single day in tiny, tiny handwriting. Because for some reason I thought tiny, tiny handwriting would just be the thing that made him fall in love with me.
Lord.
And then he also did this thing where he would write books that were from the perspective of high school girls' journals.
Absolutely
like he had
not.
several books.
Absolutely not. And nothing tipped you off that this guy might not be fully kosher.
Oh, this guy has so much else going against him. He also probably is The Watcher. I don't know if you've seen that TV show.
It was on in my house. I did not watch it, but
it was, I didn't. I watched.
It's just
one
people sending
episode.
letters, like I'm doing your thing.
but
Yeah, I'm watching your stuff.
There's a lot of conspiracy theory that he's the Watcher because he had us do a thing in our high school English class where he had us, I think, write letters to houses because he told us that he liked to write letters to a house, but he always said the house that he liked writing letters to was a house that he admired. And he like wrote these nice letters and the people were like, come visit, come stay at our house.
No one would say to a stranger writing letters, come stay at our house.
Exactly.
Just wouldn't happen.
But then this show came out and he's like, I'm not the Watcher, but I feel like if you're a person who writes letters to houses, you're a person who writes letters to houses.
What part of you believes he's not the Watcher? Because all of me believes he is the Watcher.
Oh yeah, everyone. The second that show came out, I got a text message from every single person I went to high school with, being like, "He's the Watcher, right?"
What is going on? This conversation is taking a turn I never expected.
Now I'm like convinced he's gonna find this, and then
We
find
haven't
me.
named him.
Oh yeah, we haven't. You
No.
can Google all of this.
People don't even know where you're from. It's New Jersey. I didn't say it fully
Yeah, no,
loud.
absolutely. No one heard that.
it.
There's no
one heard it.
microphone in your hand right now.
No, there's not. Also, I already texted every English teacher in Jersey and was just like, did you do this?
Also, I want to make it very clear he was never a creep, so this doesn't like spiral back and everyone's like, he was a creep. Like I tried so hard to make him into a creep and he would not be one.
You give a lot of credit that all of your high school is listening to this. Yeah, maybe they are.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is funny though that, and I have to tell this on mic because it's too funny, that you texted me yesterday and asked if there was homework for the pod, and I was like, you are the most studious guest.
I love to be prepared.
But like as a podcast, I don't think anyone's like, all right, Lynn, so here's the thing. I need you to research the War of 1812. We
If
want to
you
know what was
told me
happening
to,
in 1811.
I would
also.
have jokes about 1812.
You know, Martin Short apparently has a team of writers that he works with before he goes on talk shows. So he has like good material. And I remember the person who told me this was telling me in like a condescending way. And I was like, he takes his job seriously. It's very smart.
Yeah.
I don't have writers that write for me for the pod. It would probably be better if I did.
I mean, I think every podcast would be better if it had writers. That's
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
I think that's why, the podcasting and stand-up both have too low of a barrier to entry.
Yeah.
So like,
But then also, doesn't it worry you how you can meet someone who's been doing it for a year and they're so great and it makes you think, is stand-up a skill?
well, like I do sometimes, I would never do this because this is crazy, but like sometimes I almost want to like do a show where I kill and then stand outside with comment cards, just be like, hey, can you tell me what you loved about
Get some
me?
feedback.
What did you love about my set? Was it my like vibe? Was it my jokes? Was it my dynamicism? Is that a word? What was it?
Honestly, that would be such an interesting bit, and you could create really cool content based off that. I think, especially because it's also a business card at the same time. You're giving them like a branded piece of paper.
Yeah, where it's like, here's my card. Send me an email what you loved.
Yeah.
And then on the back, I'd be like, listen, if you send me 10 emails, you get a free sub.
But isn't that basically the same thing as posting on TikTok?
No, because a lot of times on TikTok, I just get comments like, his ears are so big he could hear an ant talking to its mom. And I'm like, maybe.
I just started a TikTok this week.
Oh, I shouldn't be dissuading you. It's great.
Oh, no. And it just, I only have 17 followers right now. And the speed at which these trolls found me was somebody commented on one of my videos. They were like, I watched the whole thing and it never got funny. And I was like, then why'd you watch the whole thing, bro?
But also, why did he want you to know that he didn't think it was funny?
I don't know. And it's just, I don't understand how they would find someone with 17 followers and be like, this is the person who needs to be attacked. Like, that's punching down at this point.
Oh my God. I had someone who commented on one of my stand-up clips and said, don't quit your day job. And I was like, I haven't. Like,
did you respond? So I'm deciding between whether to delete, keep, or respond.
It really depends. So like, you know, I have friends and Jess as well who sometimes want to be like, I'm going to comment back on everything mean and just take him to town. And I'm like, it's not going to help. It's not going to help.
Yeah.
To what end do you do that? Because if you respond to all these comments, like, it's not like they're going to turn it around and be like, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Lynn's pretty good. They're not going to do that.
I also don't think they think about us for 1 second. We think about them for 100 years.
Correct.
And they never think about us again.
The theory I heard is that the people that comment on other people's posts are the same people that are too scared to post themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is fine.
Yeah, you do stand up.
Yeah, I don't really respond to all the comments. I mean, it's so funny because one of the first clips I ever posted on any social media, and I did it across every single platform, was about how I have big ears, and yet it is the #1 comment I get on my posts.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy because I'm like, yeah, I do. But also, was that funny? Did you like that joke?
Yeah, I would really rather somebody be like, you have big ears than be like, you're not funny.
No, I get it. You're not funny all the time.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's definitely more interesting when I get it from friends and family than when I get it from TikTok commenters. But here's what's crazy. This is true. My mother has never seen me do stand-up in person.
My parents haven't seen me. We don't talk about it.
You don't talk about it?
Yeah, we don't.
Why?
I don't know. It's not stand-up does not make, I think, Arab immigrant parents proud. But here's the thing: when I get a late night set or like a stand-up special,
which I feel like that's on the way. Yeah.
In my career, there's this huge milestone. They're just gonna be like, we were here the whole time.
We knew.
We were here and we were for it, and we always thought this was the right path for you.
Are they first gen?
They moved here when my mom was 7 months pregnant with me.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
So they're watching it. They're like, we wanted you to have a better life and you're doing stand up with these schmucks.
Yeah. And then I keep trying to tell them that I love my life as it is.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. And they're always like, how can we help you? Do you need a government job? And then they'll send me these government job listings.
Do they have an in where they can get you a government job?
No. My dad works for the government.
I was going to say, what did they do for a living?
My dad is an engineer.
For the government? Like a mechanical engineer?
Civil engineer.
Okay. Don't fully know what that means, but I'm into it.
Yeah, me neither. Really, truly.
Excellent.
Sometimes I'm like, how does this little man engineer
little
civilly?
Man?
He's like a nice little man.
Oh, stop. He's a broad, burly man.
Yeah. How does he engineer civilly? I don't know.
He's civil when he does it.
Yeah, he's so polite about it.
The most polite engineer.
Yeah. And then my mom worked for the UN for like 30 years. Yeah, they're brilliant. She speaks 7 languages. She's the smartest woman in the whole world.
Hold on. Your mom speaks 7 languages?
Yeah.
Do you know them?
Yeah. Do I speak them? No. Do I know them? Arabic was her first language. She learned French Catholic school because she went to French Catholic school in Syria. And then she learned German, English, Spanish, Chinese, and Italian.
Chinese?
Yeah, that one was like, I don't know if she's super fluent in, but she has studied.
Sometimes I think, man, so I think both my parents were reasonably successful in their pursuits. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish they weren't, so I didn't have a shadow to be in.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And sometimes I think like it's great to have seen a successful person to know what success looks like. I don't think I'd want to have your mom because I think no matter what I did, I'd be like, oh, can't live up to that.
I will spend the rest of my life trying to live up to. She's but she's incredible. Like she like sews her own clothes and she can cook anything.
What doesn't your mother do? There's got to be something.
She's not an artist. Well,
can she do stand up?
Oh, I don't think she would like it. But I recently found out her last name, Khatib, in Arabic means public speaker. And my dad's last name, Maleh, is Maleh in Arabic, and it means salty. So I'm basically a salty public speaker, which
you
is
are
a stand-up comedian.
You are.
Isn't that wild? I'm the saltiest public speaker.
You really are.
Yeah, truly.
Are you? I have two questions. One, do you speak Arabic or you do not?
I don't. So I went through a horrible childhood experience of September 11th happened during my very formative years, and I grew up outside New York City. So like people from my school's parents like lost their lives in these buildings. So in ways I felt like the victim and the enemy, and it was so I just went under the radar and pretended to be white and didn't. I talk to my friends now, and they're like, "We didn't even know that you were Arab growing up." So I refused to learn Arabic because I just didn't, and my mom always said I'd regret it.
Do you?
Here we are.
Mom, I did it.
It's so wild. And then now I feel like this huge urge to talk about it all the time. And it's kind of funny because I feel like my parents don't even like Arabs. And I'm like, here's my stand-up show about Arabs.
I mean, it's like not, it's hard. It's very challenging for like, as a kid, you only know what you're feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
As a kid, you're not going to be able to project into the future and go, I'm going to want this. As a kid, especially, I don't know how old you were when 9/11 happened, but I was 14? 14 or I think 14.
Yeah.
And all I knew was just like, this is the worst moment ever. Yeah. I didn't, and all you want at 14 years old is, I don't want to be the focal point of anyone's upset.
I remember sitting in bed that night and being like, there's going to be a Holocaust on Muslim people. They're coming for us. They're coming for us. But then also I was like,
how scary is that to have at that age?
We were so close to New York City that I was like, is there going to be another bomb? And like my parents both worked in the city. So it was such a weird like conflict of where do I fit in this terror?
Yeah.
But one girl told me, I remember in high school, she said that she thought the entire Middle East should be up in flames.
What?
And I think about it every day. She had no idea I was Arab. I feel like it's just her personal philosophy. Her dad was a cop. Surprise.
And I was going to say, she's probably ended up in a Karen video now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You don't even you don't stay connected.
Do you think that's a girl I still follow online?
Listen, no, I don't think you follow her, but like, those people from like high school, listen, I know, I don't think there's anyone from high school that I hated, but like, but I just like weird people pop in and out of your lives.
I didn't even hate it. Like we were friends and then she said that and I feel like I continued to be friends with her. I was just like, oh, pocket that away.
Oh no. You're like, let me just put this in the back pocket. I'll bring it out on a podcast in 20 years. That is so difficult. At what age did you start reclaiming your Arabic origins?
I feel like in college I would like reference it, but I also went to a very white college.
Where'd you go?
Emerson.
Oh yeah.
The whitest college in America.
That'll do it.
So I guess people, even my boyfriend, when I started dating him, he didn't realize.
Colin, shout out.
And he's a quarter Lebanese. And then I remember his grandma asked him what religion I was. And then he asked me, and I had this moment of like, oh no, is white boy not going to like me anymore?
How long had you been together at this point?
Maybe like 3 months.
And you didn't talk about, how old were you when you started dating? Must have been young.
We started dating 21.
Okay, yeah.
Senior year.
Jess and I started dating when I was 32. And at that point, that was in our first conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like now when you date, it's like we have to get all this stuff out of the way. But in college, it was just like, I don't know. We were just kind of like hanging out. Neither of us thought it was going to be serious.
I mean, I knew from the minute I met the two of you, it was serious.
Well, you met us 10 years in, I'm pretty sure.
Wait. So I want to go back. So when you were in college, you started, when you thought he was going to like, oh my God, is he not going to want to date me anymore? Did you then, when you told him, did his reaction empower you?
Yeah, it's so hard because I talked to one of my best girlfriends is half black, and she talks about this too, how when we were in college, like the big goal was to find like a white guy, because if a white guy like approved of us, then we got to be allowed in the world somehow, which is so
interesting,
gross and negative. But it was always like, there is like a certain, I don't know, level of acceptance you get. I don't know.
By dating a white person?
I think back in that time, because now, I mean, everything changed with Black Lives Matter, and like everyone, it's so much better. There is like trauma I unpacked during that time that I didn't even realize I had. And it's so interesting because I was reading about this too. As like a brown person, you're like the oppressor and the oppressed because you have all this privilege, but then you also have, you know, this backstory that is triggering as well.
Sure.
And yeah, I just look back on all these things, and I think there was always this like, oh, you have to get a white man because then a white man will make you acceptable. And because the hometown I grew up in was super white, and then the college I went to was super white, I didn't realize that I felt like such an outsider until now when I look back on all of it. And then stand-up has been so amazing because it's like the most level playing field. I feel like you meet everyone from every background, every socioeconomic level, and it's just been so amazing to just be in this world where it's like it's just like we're all on the same page, and meeting so many different cultures and getting to do Habibis has like changed my life.
Yeah, I mean that it's really interesting because obviously I understand a lot of what you're talking about. It was before I met you. But like your ethnicity, your background, your identity to me goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah.
And I say that in a positive way. And
Yeah,
obviously, I mean, you know, I love you to death.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that like, that's how I'm like, oh yeah, but I don't think about it often, but it's interesting to hear. It was like, it's sad. It makes me sad. I get it. But it makes me sad that as a kid, you weren't able to feel comfortable owning it because you had a lot of the, obviously 9/11 changed everything for the worse, but you had all these forces. And it's also, I can't imagine, super easy to, you know, in Australia, they have something called tall poppy syndrome, which they essentially say, like, you don't want to be standing as a tall poppy in the field. You want to be at the same level as everyone else. So, like, you know, you don't want to stand out. You don't want to, you're doing too much, you know? So, but I think kids also experience that, where it's like that, you don't want to be the tall poppy in the field. So you're there and you're like, okay, like, this is what I'm surrounded by. I want to be this. You know, I grew up with, we were essentially house poor. So like we had enough money to be in a very rich community. We had a house, but we didn't have money to do anything else, right? So like all my friends had like BMW, Mazda, that was me, BMW, Lexus, Mercedes. And then I had 1989 Mazda that didn't have a working, it had no CD player. The tape player was broken. So the only tape that was in it was Steve Winwood, which, all respect, it was a good album.
Yeah.
But like we couldn't get it out. And the airbags didn't work, and you know, and that was what we had. But I remember I looked at all of that, and my friends would be like, "Hey, we're gonna go." Like in high school, they'd be like, "Hey, we're gonna go." This is gonna sound so lame, but they're like, "We're gonna go to Cheesecake Factory for dinner, and then we're gonna go see a movie." And I would always be like, "Oh, you know what? I promised my parents I was gonna eat at home, and they like wanted to hang afterwards, so I can't do that." But like after the movie, like call me and we'll hang, because I couldn't afford that dinner and I couldn't afford that movie. But that's what I wanted. And as I got older, I was like, oh, like I want to be able to go see the movie. You know, now, do I still look for like matinee specials? Yeah, but like who doesn't like saving?
Do you know what I always say is so funny? That I feel like people like you and me who grew up that way, like now have this like obsession with like having nice things.
Sure.
But then I feel like all the rich people I went to college with are now like so hipster, and they like live in these like, you know, kind of run down places in, you know, neighborhoods that are like, you know, you live in Venice, I live in West Hollywood. And it's just so interesting how we move in those opposite directions. Like, I feel like I'm going to forever have something to prove financially. And,
but it's never enough. You know, there is, it's so funny. There's do you know the writer Shea Serrano?
I don't.
He's delightful, and you should go look up his stuff. He's the absolute man. I love him to death. And
it's weird for me not to know a writer.
He's not a traditional writer. He used to work for The Ringer, and he worked under Bill Simmons. And
oh, okay, more nonfiction-y.
Yeah, he wrote like a book, basketball, and other things, movies, and other
I've
things.
Heard of that. Yeah.
He's amazing, but he's a big Spurs fan. And you may not know this, the Spurs, there was a lottery, and the Spurs got the first pick in the NBA draft, and the lead person in the NBA draft this year is being called the best player in a draft since LeBron James. So a pretty big deal. And then he had written this tweet which said, like, I'm hoping for blah, 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 which had nothing to do with that. And someone said, you just got the first, and he's a diehard person. They go, you just got the number one pick and you're still hoping for things. And he goes, if you follow me and you don't realize yet that I'm always going to be wanting more and I'm never going to be satisfied no matter what I get, then you really don't know me.
I mean, that's the artist plight, isn't it?
It's
Someone
terrible.
I know was the assistant to a famous Hollywood director. I'm not going to say who it was. And for the longest time, he wouldn't hire her full time because he was like, I don't know if I'm going to have work. And if I told you who this was, and I'll tell you off podcast, you'll be like, how could that person think that he wouldn't have work moving forward?
I mean, I just had an interview with he's a gentleman named Luke Bracey, and he was in like Holiday. If anyone ever saw that, I saw it twice. Should I not admit that?
We all saw it.
Listen, Jess and I had COVID. That movie came out. I go, I'm going to see this twice. But I was doing an interview with him, and he was talking about how he was cast in a movie with Richard Gere, who, like, listen, you're in a movie, you're not in a movie, it doesn't really matter. Everyone knows who Richard Gere is.
Of course.
He goes up to Richard on the first day. He goes, hey, man, it's great to meet you. How you doing? He goes, I don't know, I'm really nervous. And he goes, you're nervous? He goes, yeah, I was just really, happy. I was excited that he chose to cast me, and I'm just a little nervous. I want to do well. And he goes, and Luke goes, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that Richard Gere still gets nervous about being in a movie or being cast. Because this is him talking, I aspire to have half the career that Richard Gere had. So if Richard Gere feels this way, I'm screwed.
Do you still get nervous when you go on stage? I think every time I still get nervous.
I don't know necessarily that I get nervous. I think that, like, I try to take a second when I get on stage to look out and just try and make eye contact with all these people and just remind myself, number one, they want to have fun. Number two, it's not their job. They're not getting paid to laugh.
Absolutely.
And number three, no one wants to hate you. So don't forget that.
It's a great way to think about it. My thing that I think I always get nervous about is that I feel like I have so much material. That's not a brag, but it sounds like one.
Whoa, brag alert.
But I have all this material, and then I sit there before I go on stage and I try to figure out, based on what the other comics do, what they want. And then I feel like I really spiral about that. And then when I go on stage and one of the bits isn't at landing as well, I'm like, I should have known. I should have known that wouldn't have been one of the ones that they liked as much. And I should have gone with that other bit. That's a classic heavy hitter. And then that's my nerve attack that I have.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is. But you can't plan your set before and get there and just do what you planned.
I don't do that.
Yeah, you can't.
I play a little loose. I kind of see where they're going.
You have to see. You have to read the vibe.
100%.
Yeah.
By the way, I hate to interrupt because I'm having fun with this, but I feel like we have to get to our first segment. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called the Newly Friend Game. So the way this works is it's like the Newlywed Game. I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to both write down our answer and see if we get it right. Okay. And then we're going to do a question for me. Sometimes they're the same. Sometimes they're different. This one is the same.
Okay.
I'm going to ask this of you. I know that you have a master's in writing.
Okay.
And I heard from previous podcast guest, Amy Silverberg, that you write incredible short stories. So I am going to guess, my question for you, we're both going to write down our answers, don't say it out loud. What is one of your favorite short stories that got you into it? What is a short story you read that like got you excited about writing short stories?
I'm just going to write down my two favorite short story authors. Okay.
You're fine. Okay. I'm going to write down the short story, and if one of them wrote this. Okay, you ready? Flip your board on 3. 1, 2, 3. So you wrote Amy Bender and Amy Hempel. I don't know either of them.
All of my favorite writers are Amy. That's why it's funny that Amy Silverberg.
Oh, I should have gotten that.
Yeah.
Lamb to the Slaughter. Do you know that short story?
I've only read A Good Man Is Hard to Find, I think.
Oh, Lamb to the Slaughter was great. I don't want to give anything away, but what a fun story that is. And then Flannery O'Connor was the one where I was just like, she's definitely writing Flannery O'Connor. You didn't.
No. I've only read A Good Man Is Hard to Find. That's my only.
Well, Flannery didn't write Lamb to the Slaughter, but I was just writing an author that I thought you might also say. Well, now I want to see who the author is of my favorite, because if you don't know, I'll look up the author of my favorite short story, and I'll see if you have this nailed down.
So this is, I'm guessing, who your favorite short story author is?
Yeah.
I have a possible in my mind.
How often are you reading generally?
I used to be really, really good about it, and having to be on the internet for comedy has turned my brain into garbage. I used to read a lot. Now I'd say I'd read like a book a month.
That's more than me.
That's probably more than most people. I'm also unemployed right now. When I'm working, I'm not reading.
I respect that. Have you written down your answer?
Yes.
Okay, ready to flip your board on 3? This is my favorite short story and the author who wrote it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, flip. Oh, that's a great guess.
Yeah, I could see you being into that.
Yeah, so Lynn wrote Ray Carver. I wrote The Swimmer by John Cheever.
I have read that.
Not only do I love this short story, I have read it 15, 20 times. I mean, I've read it a lot.
So tonight I have to read this, and I have to send you. Probably Amy Hempel is my true favorite. I have to send you an Amy Hempel story.
Please do. Okay. And that's the Newly Friend game. How do you feel about it?
That's great.
You did it.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
It was great.
Yeah, I not only I love that story so much that the second screenplay that I ever wrote had some loose references to it.
Okay. How often do we talk about the fact that you're an award-winning playwright on this podcast? How often does that come up?
It doesn't.
Oh, well, I brought it up.
How did it come up with you? I don't even remember. How do you know that?
I don't know.
Oh.
Fun fact.
Yeah, that is I suppose, yeah.
I guess maybe we should have been like, what's your top fun fact? And for you, it would be that you're an award-winning.
I don't know. Here's what's funny. That is a fact. But I always, if someone said, what's a fun fact about you? Like, I don't know what I would say.
I hate that question so much on interviews when they're
like,
what's your like fun thing?
I usually say I have multiple times met Lynn Maleh. That's what I say.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I used to lie and say I ran a marathon because I couldn't think of anything.
Who's going to vet that?
And I look like I could have run a marathon. No one is.
If someone said Lynn's a personal trainer, I would say for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense.
So I used to do that, but now I feel like I would put creating Hilarious Habibis. It's like my big. That's like the thing I'm most proud of.
Oh, there was something I wanted to ask you, by the way. I totally forgot. And it is not directly related to Hilarious Habibis, but it's close. By the way, I learned on a side note from watching, I think it might have been from watching Rami, that there's Habibi and Habibti.
Yeah, Habibti's female.
Right. So I started calling Jess Habibti.
Stop.
I did. Yeah, you can ask her. I call her that.
I did pitch Reductress a headline that they rejected. That was like ally ? Like friends calling you Habibti or something like that.
I mean, I do it.
Yeah.
The question I was going to ask is your last name is Molly.
Yeah.
But you spell it. I've seen you spell it 2 different ways.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay. I'm glad I'm getting this out of the way here so I don't have to answer it.
Do you answer it a lot? Do people ask you a lot?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh.
So when I started, I was working in B2B marketing and I did not want my clients to find me. I also didn't want my family to find me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have like a stage name, Lynn, Molly. Also, there's nothing worse than being brought up on stage to this next comic. You know her. You love her. Lynn Maleh. I don't know how to say it, but I bet she's funny. Like that just discredits you like off the bat if they don't know how to say her name.
I've been brought up. My favorite one ever. I was in San Diego and this woman goes, this next comic is one of my favorite comics. I love him to pieces. I always love seeing him. I know you all love seeing him here too. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage is
She didn't even know what your
didn't
name.
know my name. Just goes, just come on up. Just come on up. Come on up. I was like, oh yeah, you love seeing me, huh? What's my name?
That is so wild. I feel like, that discredits you right off the bat. And I prefer if they just confidently mispronounce it.
Sure.
To me, that's great. Because then at least it seems
Lynn Maleh.
Great.
Yeah.
At least then everyone's like, okay, they know who this person is.
They tried. They did their best.
Yeah. So that's what I always say. I just confidently mispronounce it. And then also at open mics, it's just, you don't want to have to start every set by like correcting the host. That's an awkward interaction.
Oh, I correct them even if they get it right.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. Just spend your whole 3 minutes on
Yeah.
that.
They're like, coming on the stage, Josh Lanzet. And I'm like, it's Josh Lanzet? I'll correct them anyway.
Emphasis on the Josh.
Yeah, you gotta get that. Here's the thing. People think they're saying my name right when they go, yeah, Josh Lanzet. And I'm like, it's not Lanzet, it's Lanzet. And that drives me insane. And a lot of people go like, oh, people can mispronounce my name. I don't care. I go, I do.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My ancestors didn't get me all the way here for me to go, Lanzet's fine. Ooh, I don't like it.
So I don't know.
So that's why. So when did you make the switch to say, like, I don't mind if my clients or my family finds my stand-up?
Well, I did move out of copywriting and got into television, and I got into television by way of stand-up. So then it's like, it's kind of like cats out of the bag. Like, I'm a stand-up. It's really nice to have a job where I can talk about my stand-up and the people are excited about my stand-up.
You can talk about it in copywriting?
I had like very stuffy like B2B clients. Now I feel like if I got clients, I don't think I could even get, I don't know if I could get those kinds of clients anymore. I think my clients would now be more like fun lifestyle brands because
You're fun.
yeah,
You have a lifestyle.
and they like comedians and funny stuff. And then now I'm having this whole like crisis because all my handles are at Hey Lynn Maleh, Molly, and I'm like, do I change it?
I mean, for our ability to tag you in this episode, I would say if you're going to change them now. The thing that drives me crazy is when people don't have consistent handles.
Yeah.
So like let's say like your name is John Smith. Like if you're like on Instagram, I'm John Smith Comedy. On Twitter, I'm just at John Smith. On TikTok, I'm like the real John Smith. I'm like, you know what? Find one that's available on all of them. Use it.
Yeah.
I am at Josh Lanzet on everything.
Yeah, I need to. I'm bad about that because
Oh, are
on
you
Twitter,
really?
recently on Twitter, I switched to at Lynn Maleh, the real way.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of followers there. On Instagram, I feel like it's going to be hard because I feel like I've been tagged in so many things in the
It
past.
switches the tag over.
It does? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to switch it.
I used to be at Lanzet J, and then I
Yeah.
flipped it to at Josh Lanzet because I was like, I'm consistent. I'm a brand.
TikTok, I'm keeping Hey Lynn Maleh, though, because I'm not ready for anyone to find that account yet.
TikTok's a scary place.
Yeah.
I don't fully know what I'm doing there.
I'm just putting reels there and then not looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not like looking at anyone else's stuff. I'm just putting them there and walking away and seeing what happens.
I, for a little while, was rating cats on cat videos, and that brought me a lot of joy.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. I'm not doing that for views. I enjoy watching cat videos, and I want to rate the cats. And I would rate them on nonsensical scales.
But do you realize this is time we could be reading books?
And writing jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I need to write more. I don't know. I mean, do you feel guilty for
I
not
write scripts a lot.
Okay.
And that I can sit down and write.
so how did you make the jump to TV? Did you just have a script and you send it to someone? You're like, I'm great?
No. So I applied to a diversity program through the WGA. It's called the Writers Access Support Staff Training Program.
What are
Say
you-
that 10 times fast.
I was gonna say, what are you shilling them right now? Do they paying you to name drop?
No, they're not. I do love the program. It's the WASSTP. And it was...
Oh, why don't you say that? I knew that.
Well, of course, yeah. They like train you to be a writer's assistant or a script coordinator. And then I did the program, and then through it I got my first job, which was on that Michelle Obama show.
Unbelievable.
And then
And you met her, right?
for like a half a second.
Doesn't matter.
I always say that I met her. She didn't really meet me.
Interesting.
You know?
That's how it always goes with
of
legends.
course. Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But she was, I mean, I had an earpiece the whole time I was on set and could just like hear her like between takes. And she was just like the most incredible. She was everything you want her to be. She was generous and down to earth and funny and cool.
You
and
mean she
kind.
wasn't like, I said I wanted beet hummus,
the
not
absolute
normal.
opposite? Could
Well,
you
so-
imagine if she wasn't, how
No.
like devastating that would be?
But on that note, are you ready to move into the lightning round?
Yeah.
You excited?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the lightning round. It's fast questions. They don't have to be fast answers. You don't need the board.
Okay.
What's interesting is that you and Amy, your best friend, your mentor, your love, both reached for the board. You're the only two
Because
guests.
we're writers.
Only two guests who have reached for the board when we do
We're
this.
fiction writers. We like a pen.
Lightning round. Question 1. What is a favorite ritual of yours? So mine is like brewing tea. What would be a favorite ritual of yours?
Do I just say it? right now.
Well, if you think it doesn't really do much for our listeners, I don't think.
Well, it's just that we're not like competing or anything.
There's no competition. No.
Mine is like I like to come home at the end of the day and take like an extremely hot shower to the point where like I scald my skin a little.
Really?
Yeah, that's a weird ritual.
Are you an afternoon shower generally, or you shower once in the morning, once in the afternoon?
It's not in the afternoon. It's like at the end of the night.
Oh, evening.
Yeah.
So you're a night shower.
Yeah.
I so respect a night shower. I need to start my day. I need to wake up. The shower wakes me up.
People say that. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
You don't like that?
No, I'm always in a rush. I always wake up too late for everything. I will always sleep till the last minute. I'll skip breakfast. I'll skip shower. I'll script shower.
You'll script a shower.
So
you write all about it.
I am a writer. So
you're like internal shower day.
Yeah.
What is a running bit you have with a friend or partner that makes you laugh?
So my boyfriend does this thing, and now all of my friends do it, where he like adds a hard O to everything. So it'll be like, where did you pork the core? Or like, we're taking a 40 core to like.
So he kind of,
to
it's an allusion a little bit to Boston, but it's not.
No, it's so much worse. And he just started doing it, and we were all like, this is so dumb. And now we do it for everything.
Is it only with A's? Because pork and core are both A's to O's.
It's just like adding like it's like just adding like a hard O. It's like you can add it to anything. Like you can order it to anything if you want to. If you want to.
When did this started a while ago and now it survived?
And it's so gross because all my friends do it now. And I remember when I first started dating him, he was like, I have this weird thing where like I'll start saying weird things and then everyone starts doing it. And I'm like, that's not a thing. You're making this up. And then I watched it. I watched it happen.
Oh, you know what? I do kind of like it.
Yeah, he does it better than me.
I mean, listen, if you can, send me a recording. I won't put it on the pod. Maybe, you know what? We'll put it as a bonus at the end of the episode. If we can get it.
Do you remember when everyone was playing Jackbox?
I still like Jack. I haven't played in a long time.
Dorkborks. So whenever we were playing, it was always Dorkborks.
Oh my Lord.
And then
so there's R's in here too.
Yeah, it's like a language on this one.
I'm baffled. All right, question 3. Can you do an impression of one or both of your parents? And the worse, the better.
I don't do impressions of my parents because I feel like with the accents and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I guess it would be something like, hey, Lynn, will you get a government job?
I love how your impression was something they say that kind of makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been like, hey, Lynn, I love you. No, of course not. Why would it be?
It would always be, get a government job.
The one sentence you could choose was like, she says this and I get sad about it.
That's like every other conversation.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
What's yours?
An impression of my parents. I do an impression of my mother a lot, which is like when I asked her, I was like, hey, I was doing stand up at the Palm Beach Improv, which is like 25 minutes from her house. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be doing it there. And she goes, oh, I'm exhausted. I've had such a day. I can't be bothered.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's right. I've seen that. It's kind of like a Long Island.
Yeah, it's a little, yeah. And I go, what do you mean you're retired? What tired you out? And she goes, well, there's an episode of Nickish on. I don't want to miss it. I was like, Nickish? She goes, yeah, you know the show. It's like there's a bunch of they're cops and they do. And I was like, NCIS.
Oh my gosh, she calls it Nickish.
She calls NCIS Nickish. And then she's like, no, actually, I'm sorry. It's a Sunday. I've got to watch Bill Maher on HBO.
Oh.
And I'm like, my God, stop.
That's
I'm
really
dying.
great.
Those are the only two, though. She doesn't say another weird thing. She doesn't like HBO and Nickish are the two, but she doesn't have another one. There's not like another hidden one there. If there were, I'd share it. But like, yeah, that's all she's got.
That's pretty great. That's gold, though.
I mean, listen, she's a lovely
like winning
gal.
The lottery.
I don't do many jokes about her on stage anymore. I have one that I do now, but like I used to do more.
I don't love to do the accents. Something about me doing the accents feels like, I don't know. And I see a lot of comics do it, and it's funny, I think. But for me, I just always kind of stayed away from the.
I get that.
The improv.
Mine is
it feels
so
like
exaggerated,
them almost.
Yeah, mine is super exaggerated. My mother does not sound anywhere near that extent.
I mean, my parents have thick accents, but it just feels like then the joke is that they have an accent, and there's nothing funny about the fact
not at all
that they have accents.
No, my joke is more that my mother says.
I mean,
bananas stuff. Question 4: have you ever experienced imposter syndrome, and if so, is there a moment that really sticks for you?
Oh, I mean, every minute of my life.
Right now?
Yeah, even like being a stand-up comedian, I always feel like one day everyone's going to be like, jigs up. We all knew that you were faking it this whole time.
You were faking writing jokes and going to
Yeah.
mics to perfect your material.
I have a way to like believe that every achievement I've achieved was just by like an accident, and they like accidentally, they got confused, and then they were like, oh, you can be on Hot Tub. Like they got confused and accidentally booked me or something. Or like when I was in a writer's room, it was like, well, it was just because I was in this program, and it's not actually because I belong here. It's just because I was in this program. And then like, even when I got Reductress, I was like, well, I guess everyone can write for Reductress. I remember I wanted it so badly, and then I got it, and I was like, well, I guess everyone gets this. It's so bizarre.
Number one, we're the same person.
Yeah.
And number two, the way that I try and think about it is, let's say I pay $10 for, in the airport for a bowl of fruit salad. Okay. I've spent that $10 and there's cantaloupe in it. I'm not going to eat the cantaloupe. I don't care that I spent the $10 or not. I don't care that I invested my time and energy into this. I don't like cantaloupe. I will not be eating it. That's the ball game. So it doesn't matter whether you were in this program or not, whether like, someone, this, that, whatever, didn't matter. If someone didn't want you there, they wouldn't have to give you the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I mean, I understand
No one eats the cantaloupe if they don't have to. Sorry if you like cantaloupe.
I do love cantaloupe.
Well,
I'm a big cantaloupe
all right,
head.
wrap the whole podcast up. We're done.
Honeydew also.
Really?
I like, yeah.
The two worst parts of a fruit
Ooh,
salad.
Grapefruits.
Dear Lord. Okay, we're going to get to our final question. Our last question is, what is a favorite tea or comfort? But I think you drink tea. So do you have a favorite tea?
I know Kalen has a fancy bougie tea he gets.
But do you love that?
It is really good. I don't think I'm such a coffee person. I don't usually first seek out.
Okay, well, so what's your favorite
Oh,
comfort?
do you know what? For tea, I've got it. My parents get this chamomile tea that is just, it's like not fancy at all, but it's just the one that they have gotten our entire life.
Sure.
And they only get it from one specific market that's kind of like a farmer's market type thing.
That's a great answer.
And it's yeah, and it like they'll send me boxes of it too. And it's not even it's just the brand that we like.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a lovely answer.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, that's a podcast. How do you feel?
It was so fun.
You had a good time?
Yeah, the tea was so good. I didn't drink enough of the tea because I felt like weird drinking it while having a microphone to my mouth.
I will tell you that everyone's going to be watching you drink, and they're going to comment on it, being like, I watched the whole episode and she's not funny.
I mean, that's fair. This is steep conversations,
That's
not
true.
Stefani conversations.
Okay, that's it. We're done. That's where we draw the line. I adore you. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me. So fun.
That was Lynn Maleh. You can follow her at Hey Lynn Maleh, spelled Molly, on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow her at Lynn Maleh, spelled Maleh, on Twitter. We'll be back next week, so until then, happy steeping.
Now I'm trying to think of like classics because I feel like you might be referencing like a classic.
I am.
I hope it's not Shirley Jackson, The Lottery.
It's certainly not.
Okay, great. Because I would have to throw my.
Should I just write that? Should I write The Lottery?
I just have to throw this at you.